Welcome everyone. Appreciate you joining us today for this final session. Thanks again everyone's participation at Mug Summit this year. We really appreciate it. I'd like to introduce both Joe Ehlers and Renu Singh. Thanks for providing the great educational content for this final session. Just go through a bio for each of you and we'll go ahead and get started. Joe's a strategic leader with career history of optimizing business operations, evaluating productivity and modernizing systems through standard enterprise platforms and processes, ideates creative solutions focused on customer needs and sustainable operational improvements, maximizes available resources throughout the project lifecycle as well as daily operations, skilled at forging cross-disciplinary relationships to drive collaboration, align business and IT objectives, create impact in matrixed environments, areas of expertise, strategic planning, program management, budgeting and finance, business analytics, Six Sigma, process improvement, performance optimization, quality assurance. And Renu, Maximo Solutions designer and architect with a depth of Maximo knowledge and expertise. She has been a senior consultant role on large EAM implementations for several clients in automobile and utilities industries. She has total 10 plus years of enriched experience, which includes 2 years at core application development and 7 plus years of experience in numerous Maximo application suite implementations encompassing all functional and technical aspects. She's also a database expert, having proficiency in data analysis, conversion, extraction, transformation, and performance tuning. Maximo 6, 7.1, 7.5, certified professional with strong technical and functional skills. So without further ado, thank you.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate it. Sure. Okay, so I'm Joe. I've met a couple of you, I think almost everybody, throughout the course of this weekend, and you know it's always kind of difficult to decide exactly the content to choose. What are people going to be interested in? Who's going to show up at the last session on the week? Everybody's a little bit tired, right? So we've done our best to kind of put together a story for you around a modernization project that we did, and want to talk to you a little bit about it from several different angles. This is one that's gotten a lot of attention at Cummins. We won a Chairman's Award. It's the top IT project back in 2015. So we're pretty proud of some of the work that we did, and you know, with a project like that, it was a 6-month duration, had some great business impacts, some great savings on the IT side. And so you can always kind of spin it and talk about it from all kinds of different angles, depending on who your audience is and what people are interested in. So we kind of have a high-level mix, and we'll go through it, I think, at a pretty decent pace. And then I always find the most value in the conversations, right? Just kind of, what's your perspective? What did you learn? You know, this is the type of stuff I do. How does it relate to me? Are there any golden nuggets, you know, in this 45 minutes that we're going to spend together that we can share with each other, right? So, you know, if you don't know much about Cummins, it's an engine manufacturing company in Columbus, Indiana, and it was started off as a really small company about 100 years ago. And we have a lot of pride for the company, right? It's grown, it's had lots of ups and downs. You know, today, quite a bit larger than we were, obviously, back when we started, but also in the year 2000, we had some real difficulties with the quality of our products, with the costs that we were incurring. We weren't profitable nearly enough. We were actually kind of at risk of losing our shirts, if you will. And we really credit Six Sigma with helping us turn the business around. So there's, you know, if you're a Cummins employee, we basically bake Six Sigma into the DNA of every employee now, right? So you're going to hear some stuff about Six Sigma. So just as a quick level set, just want to do a couple quick, you know, level set type questions up front. Has everybody heard of Six Sigma? Anybody not? Okay, so we're pretty good. Good. So I won't spend too much time, you know, beating that drum. And how about, is everybody a user of Maximo? Everybody has Maximo's user? Okay, cool. Great. So we'll clip along on a couple of these then. So this is just a high-level abstract, really meant to be more read before it, right? But so today we're going to talk about Maximo from the perspective of Cummins, and of course you can use Maximo for so many different things. Just to be specific, we're talking about it in the realms of maintenance and inventory for the purpose, you know, of improving our performance, you know, and uptime of our assets, right? That's what we're really focused on at Cummins. So what do we mean when we say maximo? We all use it at different levels, different scales, right? So at Cummins, we have about 15,000 users, 81 different sites around the globe using maximo today, in 12 different countries with 7 different languages that we're presenting it to those users. And we do all of this from a single instance of maximo that's based out of Chicago, right? And that was part of this project, was actually getting it there and doing that work. And further, we have 0 site-level customizations. So while we do have some customizations to Maximo, we really use Maximo to roll out standard business processes. That's what we're really like to focus on. So we always are keen to point out that we do 0 site-level customizations. We take it in a change control board. We think, is this valuable for everybody? Yes or no? And then we would roll it out for everybody if we deem it fit. So kind of before I can go down the full path of why this modernization project was so important to Cummins, I first have to kind of tell you the road that we were on back all the way in 2014. Right, this is a time where we still had all of these people using it, but we had, and when you have it at this scale, there's just very little room for error, right? And we had over 200 hours of downtime in Maximo in 2014, 4 critical events, times where it was going down unscheduled. We had just really a business partner that was starting to really question whether we were capable of pulling this off, right? And so keep in mind, I'm sure most of you, because you're in this realm, can imagine the order of magnitude, the importance of this type of operation to a company like ours, a manufacturing company, really couldn't afford the problems that we were having. So we used our Six Sigma, shocker because of my intro, right, processes, to do kind of a plan, do, check, act type of approach to look through DMAIC, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, right? What was happening in our Maximo solution globally, and really provide some very clear focus on what we were going to do in 2015 to fix these problems, okay, that we were having all this downtime. So, first step is always to define the issue, and as we kind of started analyzing and looking under the hood of our Maximo system, we found that we didn't have any really reliable, repeatable measurement system to be able to compare or to baseline any of our performance issues, right? So it was almost always a qualitative conversation about, it seems slow today, right? Maximo's a pain in the butt, right? Whatever it is. So we didn't really have any way to quantify it, and that was something we really needed to fix. So because it's such an important thing, to not only to just business and operations in general, but Six Sigma process, we took the time to automate about 25,000 test steps, right? Those are both functional test scripts or scenarios that we could then go back and, instead of taking 3-4 weeks worth of testing, could do this in minutes, hours, days, at a maximum. So, there's a huge advantage there. We also wanted to look at, Six Sigma isn't, of course, just about making things, the quality better. It's also about reducing the cost for us, right? And so it was very important, and this is maybe a little bit embarrassing, but we actually didn't know what Maximo was really costing us from an infrastructure perspective. It's a big left-hand, right-hand type of operations, right? You ask these people to bring up the servers, these other people are doing the operating installs and all this. So we needed to go through that exercise and really quantifiably describe what is exactly costing us. Well, from an infrastructure standpoint, out of our $8 million operating budget, 2.1 was associated with just the infrastructure alone, right? So we thought there was a big opportunity here. So we got into our proof phase, and I'm going to really skim over this because I brought Renu with me, our solution architect, who will give you some of the nuts and bolts of the actual work that was done. But it was a fairly huge endeavor, right, to modernize over 22 servers, and really there was nothing left untouched in our Maximo solution in the course of 6 months to turn this around, okay? So I'm going to let her focus on the bits, but there was really awesome work that was done in those 6 months to give us a pretty big business benefit. So in the end, I'm going to jump to the punch to kind of, tell you a little bit. We came up with a 77% cost reduction. And by the way, the performance was 279% faster on average. So we've had a lot happier users, right? So this is one of those things where we're like, gosh, we worked really hard to get here. I don't want to do this again. So this is the control phase of the Six Sigma process. How do we put the appropriate controls in place to make sure that we're proactively managing, monitoring, the performance of the system, the governance and controls, the change control process, et cetera. So, one step is obviously was our really defining clear roles and responsibilities, making sure that we had timely decisions. We use the 70-70-70 model. We use implementation partners, have a fairly small internal, Cummins workforce on this program or globally. So it's really important that we were able to get decisions to those people that have as contract employers as quickly as possible. So we have a approach here. We could talk about that if it's of interest to anybody, to make sure that we're doing those, making those timely decisions and not holding up the process. And also, just like anything else, having quantifiable balanced scorecards. That we were really good at looking at how much were we spending, finances, even though I said I didn't know what the infrastructure was. And we were really good at saying, did we meet our schedule or not? But we weren't looking at all of the complexities across all of the work streams of the team and making sure that we were continually improving in all areas. So that's another big change that we made to the program to kind of control it and help it not go back to that state. So, again, so I'm going to hand it over to Renu to tell you kind of about this 279% increase in performance, 77% cost reduction, and perhaps the most important thing, 100% of the business functionality was maintained, even with that quick turn. So really proud of that, okay? So Renu, hand it over to you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for such a good start. Good afternoon, everyone. Everybody can hear me okay? No mic? Very good. So, how do we do it? Just this one? Very good. So, with this overview that Joe has given us, let me take a deep dive into the execution part of it, and let's see what exactly, how we work through entire process, the technical aspect of it, and what I strongly believe that the key component for successful implementation is the team, focused, aligned, and motivated. And for us, business, our users, our technical person, everybody was really determined to meet that first time right and decided our go live date, and that really helped us. So we are a global company, and so was our execution team. So the Cummins Maximo IT leadership actually envisioned this idea along with our MRO functional expert. They are actually based in North America, South America, and China, India. And our Cummins Business Services, they helped us from the POC through the execution part of it. They are our DBA team, the admin, our network, Windows team, WebSphere, architecture team, and TCS, our global preferred supplier. We could not be happier the way they really helped us with the implementation, the design test phase. And last but definitely not least, our IBM ABP team, they really helped us with the quick turnaround time for the fixes. You run into any critical technical issue and you're stuck there, they were right there on the expert advice. And we had the 23 certified consultant, 5 MRO functional experts, testers, technical expert teams, different cross-functional teams, and the 3 third-party product expertise, and together we were able to pull it off. So that was our team structure, pretty complex, and globally we had the footprint everywhere. Now let's move over to our approach, how we actually flowed our information, how we worked through it. So we used Cummins ITPM methodology, which is like Cummins internal, where we track our projects from M0 to M6, we call them, which is really charter, contract, build, design, post-production, all those phases. We track our project, and TCS for their internal execution, they used their own approach that they have developed since over the 8 implementations that they have done so far. Our working model was 17x5, and we worked through hands-off daily sprint meetings, because US team, we had the teams in US, we had the team in India, and China also. So once this team is done working, they had the meeting once the another team comes on board and start working on the stuff where we left in US. So that kind of the model we followed, and really we had the cross-functional teams involved. As I told you, we had our CBS, we call them CBS, our Common Business Services teams, which were helping us. So we meet internally within the core daily with the sprint, and then weekly core team meetings, the weekly meetings with our suppliers, with our cross-functional teams, and if there is any issue, we did not hesitate to just meet right then and there to fix it. And also design workshops to start with. Pilot, we did the pilot for that particular our implementation, and communications. I'm going to take this is a pretty important part, and I'm going to discuss that in the upcoming slide here. So because we were so global in our approach and everywhere and so many stakeholders, so this became really important, as Joe has already emphasized on this one. We had a wiki page which is updated, which is up to date every time. Whenever you have any event, the calendar is up to date. We have work instructions, 73 work instructions that really came handy for our training our users. We have all the documents, the design document, the requirement document, everything is there. And we have the email alert communication with our users, what's coming next, what to expect, and when we will be down or anything, that sort of communication. So that this piece was pretty important for us because we are a big user base, 10,000 plus users. So this was pretty important for us to keep in sync. Now let's take a deep dive on the architecture reform that we actually touched. And here you are seeing the latest and greatest technology stack that we are on right now. We just did not land up here. There was lots of work that has to be done behind the scenes to achieve this. Our architecture team, IBM, we worked with, everybody worked together, and we did a couple of assessment, our security assessment, data assessment, our the infrastructure assessment. Finally, as an outcome, here we are, and there was few pieces. For example, you see right now in our database, we are on a highly available database, which is on Exadata box, Oracle 11G. But that was a gradual progression of our product roadmap, and we started from 10G, then 11, then moved to RAG, and then with this implementation, we actually moved the data center, and we came to Exadata box. So there was lots of decisions that we have to take, WebSphere versus WebLogic, or whether we are going to go the Windows or Linux way. So finally, this stack really helped us. It's bundled with Maximo, ease to deployment, and is supported, is Cummins approved, and last but definitely not least, is very cost effective to us. Really saved us millions, and high performance. So the design workshop, this is the configuration track. So how we approach configuration track, we have the design workshop with our users definitely, and so that was very critical for them to make sure our 7.1 features are intact. So our 7.5 right now is a mixture of our 7.1 calibration, scheduler features, and new maximum 7.5 features. And we have to actually, as 7.5, if you already have 7.5, you know that calibration is now inbuilt with the base modules. So it was important for us to keep the calibration users not see the fields for the non-calibration users. So we don't want to confuse them. So that's why we have to make sure that the security groups that we have to use the conditional expression to keep those things in place, in check. And also we actually use this opportunity to clean up our security groups. Sometimes you just lose that trust, right? You keep creating the special groups, special security groups, and here it is, and you start putting the data security, data restrictions, your queries, your start centers start running slow, you don't know what's the cause. So we actually use this opportunity to clean everything, and nice and good configurations are the only one that we actually brought over to 7.5. Also, there was another piece that was important, and that was our reports. So we actually, this time, we actually looked at our reporting strategy also, retired our legacy reporting system, retired 40 reports, which are really not needed right now, and we have also implemented the LDAP security feature for our users. So now they can directly log into portal and make their own reports, upload there, create their own dashboards, and they don't really need IT support to do that kind of day-to-day kind of reports right now. That's pretty advanced, not just the QBR report. They can write their pretty advanced report and access dashboards. So that's another part of it that we actually touched. And customizations, let's discuss customizations, which can be really sometimes a big pain while you are upgrading to new version, and most of the time customizations are the culprit which actually slow you down. So for us, yes, we, as Joe said, we don't have any site level customization, but to leverage Maximo fully and to use its potential to meet Cummins' need, actually, we do have 32 custom solutions, which are very intact in the business process. And it was very important for our business users to make sure that they come over without any, they don't want to lose them, bottom line. So we used this actually this time, what we did for all the customizations, we asked 4 questions with us. Do we need it? Yes. Can it be done out of the box in 7.5? Okay, no. Then can we do it through automation scripting? If yes, then of course we use automation scripting for lots of other customizations. If not, then we actually use the opportunity to tune them, and we merge them with 7.5. There should not be no conflict. What we already wrote the code and the new features, the new class filer, those kind of things from 7.5. So as part of this activity, actually, we were able to reduce our customizations by 10% using the automation scripting and those sorting kind of criteria using those questions. We could have achieved more, but of course the deadline was the big thing there. And the data migration, that's the heart and the soul of the migration. So you might have seen, if you have done all the fancy stuff, you have done all the good work, right? But that one asset did not come to 7.5 for one user. Everything is a waste. Nobody likes it. So they are very particular about that. And also one another thing for us was that we could not afford to be down for 30 hours or so. Okay, so they wanted a near online migration. So we have to actually choose a fine balance of the big bang and the differential strategy. We use the IBM Update DB utility. That really worked good for us. Just for our data, which I think is huge, it worked in 6 hours. And so what we did, how we approached it is, of course, important part here is integrity checker. Run it as many times as you want. Make sure your data is intact. There's no more issues remaining there. All the issues, list them down, list the fix down also in Excel, and then or whatever tool you want to use there. But then before you run it, make sure you apply the fix and then run the update DB utility. Otherwise, it will stop where the issue is. Then you have to fix the issue and you can run it, the DB utility. But this time the good thing is you don't have to start from scratch. It runs from where did you left it last. So how we approached it is we took our data on the 1 week, before 1 week, when the scheduled production was there. We took it, we moved to data center Chicago from Columbus, and we applied the triggers and brought up our original source database up. So users, there was like very slight 2-3 hours downtime that they see. And then we did all the activities in Chicago, all those things offline, all these update and everything we did offline, and we applied the triggers. We moved every day. We used to process the differential. On the final day, we just processed the last lot of differential and moved all the changes, turned on the switch, and less than 18 hours we were live. We had the rollback plan ready to go. Luckily, no rollback. Everybody was happy. System was up and running. So now let's take let me quickly touch point on few more things which were not the usual upgrade part, or not the usual upgrade stones, I would say. But the thing is that we used the RPT and RFT, as Joe has said, that we had there was lots of effort that we were wasting on our testing. We were delayed on our iFixes and fixbacks because there was so much manual testing effort involved. So as part of 7.5 upgrade also, we actually take a step in the automated testing, and we automated our functional testing and our performance testing step. So we actually, these were the steps, these were the major milestone that we, of course, in the direction of achieving that. And we did the POC, selected the framework, benchmark it with IBM, and identified the 65 complex scenarios finally. And once that's done, here are some benefits that finally we got. So right now, our manual testing effort is 60% down. And we are saving around 25,000 per release, because we were spending around 200 hours per release, the manual testing, and around 900 hours for the fixed pack, because there was so many codes that we have to test to make sure nothing is breaking. And now we do 100% regression testing per release. Next year it will start paying for itself. And for performance, we are doing load testing per release cycle. And we are, if there is somebody says, oh, maximo is down, we run our RPT right then and there. We can see which application, where exactly it is actually the bottleneck lies. And we are actually benchmarking, we are running it every week to gather that kind of data. So these are some, technical aspect. I tried to cover so much work that we've done over the course of 6 months or so. I would say I would invite Joe back and summarize.
Yeah, thank you. Good job. So there's a lot of information in all this, right? I wanted to just share a couple more slides with you. One is, sometimes we get focused a lot on the IT benefits and the cost savings. I'm not sure. I'd maybe show of hands, right? But one of the big pressures on my position is to reduce run cost. Always, right? How can you help the bottom line by reducing your run cost on your systems and other things? But we're clearly Maximo is providing a lot of value to the company. We know that. We had a history in the 90s. We were actually outsourcing a lot of this work, not just from a systems perspective, but the actual maintenance or inventory management perspective. And so from a cost perspective, we know we're performing a lot better, but we're always looking for opportunities to improve. This is just one example in our fuel systems plant. Sorry, we love, I don't know about you, we love acronyms, so you're going to, even when we try not to do them, they accidentally slip in. But, so our fuel systems plant in Seymour, Indiana, used Maximo after the upgrade, right, to do a pretty cool improvement project. So anybody involved with inventory, have some cribs, have some stuff in, right? So as a 100-year almost company, we have plants on the full spectrum, really old plants, really new plants, They've had asset turnover, of course. We've changed direction many times. And so one of the things, space, number one, space is, really, really valuable. You want to maximize your space as much as you can. Two, just the ability to get to things quickly, et cetera. So one project that they did was looking at their inventory store. And I don't know how well you can see this picture. Maybe I can use my skills here. Yeah, so this is kind of the before and after, stacked. The cribs that are stacked with stuff everywhere, drawers that are full of things, right? Lots going on. They did a project where they really went in and cleaned it up. I'm going to show you the after. I just want to kind of get a glimpse. Really proud of some of the work that they did. It should look like you're walking into a store that's selling a product, right? And everything's right where you know where it is and you can grab it. They did an awesome project here where they obsoleted over 6,000 items out of their, so this is just one crib, right? And 12,600 items were relocated to Cummins at one plant. That yielded a $1.2 million savings. We were able to really get some good work done with the tool. So I like to always kind of bring it back to, hey, this really is a business benefit. This is really a tool where they're doing a lot of really great work that the practitioners are. So proud of that one. We have about 300 million in on-hand inventory. So we know there's tons more opportunity out there that we want to go after, right? Continue to do that. So again, just to kind of recap quickly, $1.6 million in PBIT savings. We're always interested in that. We're 279% performance improvement and 100% business functionality. But at the end of the day, it's really about the people that are using the tool. So just a few quick quotes here, and not to belabor that we think that we did a good job, but a lot of good feedback here from the users on the upgrade, saving a lot of frustration. And one example was in China. A drop-down box was taking sometimes like 30 seconds to load, right? Now, it's really important that they get the information in the system, but that's frustrating, right? Nobody wants to sit there and wait for 30 seconds while it's spinning and showing you its little circle. So, improving that down to under 2 seconds, that's a big difference for them in their day-to-day operations. They're more likely to use the system. And, just totally satisfying. So we're really happy about that. And the other one, I just want to, because it's a year past this upgrade, it's like, great, Joe, what have you done lately? Right? I just wanted to kind of show you. So what were some of the other kind of benefits that we didn't necessarily know were going to come about, right? And this is our support ticket intake. So while we did this upgrade, by the way, I'm a pain to work for, ask Renu, right? We also released like 100 new capabilities, change requests. We did like 4,000 support tickets along the course of the year, et cetera. And of course, there's a lot of time and energy involved in that. So the kind of down the road benefits that we've experienced here, the blue line on top, and I know it's a little bit of an eye chart, I apologize for that, but you can kind of get the point here that we had about 4,000 tickets, about 400 tickets per month, somewhere in that range on average, right? This year already we're seeing major reductions. Starting in September of last year, you can see a major downward trend. That because we don't have to firefight as much about what's going on in the system today, who are we causing headaches, we can get in there and proactively manage, cut things off, ahead of time, make improvements in the system that are reducing that ticket trend. This, by the way, since we were able to do that, let me go forward. We had this big backlog of problem resolution tickets, things that would actually take code to fix. Well, they're sitting there because we're actively working on these day-to-day activities or firefighting. So by the end of the year, we expect that to actually be at zero. We're already down 50% because we've been able to use that bubble of opportunity, right? There's a big opportunity cost with those tickets before. Now we've been able to refocus their work and really drive down some of those backlog of change requests or PRs, problem resolution tickets that we had, problem reports in the past. So now, we're reviewing with contractors. This has already yielded, again, a $350K savings per year just on the support side, right? So pretty excited about, the impact that we continue to see a year later as we start looking at, I know we're behind some of you, right? We didn't do the version thing. Pam likes to do that. I don't because I'm on 7.5. Who wants to see that everybody else is on 7.6, right? But I think we're planning that for next year. Okay? And I won't get into those others. So yeah, so at this time, again, it's a lot. You can go from different angles. So just want to open it up to conversation, questions. Mm-hmm.
I have several. So when you did your design, did you look at the hierarchy of all the different slants? Maybe they were very different, and did you come up with a standard hierarchy?
actually 1998, but 2001 into a standard
2001
instance.
when we are, so everything is already set up, the location hierarchy and everything. We just upgraded the data when we did the upgrade. So we did not touch any of those stuff which is already in place.
But is there, if you went to one plant, is the standard hierarchy the same as another plant? Did you synchronize the location philosophy, methodology?
Not in this particular project. There has been work like that in the past, so that just wasn't something we took on. We didn't improve it, in other words, yeah, but there are standards.
And then your dyno labs, engine tests, it's a different discipline, but it's
Right.
the same, they use maximo?
They do.
Okay, so maybe your failure codes might be different. So is you have a master failure code, so you don't change failure codes, you said you don't change that through the entire
They
system.
are at the system level.
It's a master library.
Yes.
Right, that's right.
They are on the
That's
system
excellent.
level, yes.
Yeah.
They are. Yes.
Yeah, you bet. Good questions.
What automation tool did you use for your test scripts?
We use rational tool set, and I mean, that was a standard that Cummins was going with. We have like over 75,000 applications in the company, and we're really working hard to, do some good modernization work there too, right? And so, because Cummins was standardizing on rational, we first said we needed to prove that we can't use it. Well, it worked for us, and therefore we used rational.
So
So.
did you have to have IT resources to create those test scripts?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we sure did.
So nothing that you can give to the users to actually create the test scripts and maintain?
Well, I think, it's actually, some of it's pretty straightforward. There probably could have been some training like that, because you're recording steps and some of the functional training or functional testing. But no, we didn't go that route. It cost, I guess maybe we shouldn't talk that much about cost, but it took us about 7 months to do those 25,000 test steps. And for me, we were spending 3 to 4 weeks at about $35K per manual test cycle. And as a result of that, we would delay test until the very end. So we can talk about the cost, but also the quality, right? Now we're running those a lot, right? I don't want to wait. I was a computer scientist by education, right? And so I'm coding. I don't want somebody to tell me 3 months later that I made a mistake, right? I want to see that as quickly as possible. So there's lots of kind of additional benefits to that as well. Sorry, I know that was more than you asked, but I get excited.
Some of the franchise, this is only production side of Cummins, or Cummins owns some franchise, right? Depot, repair depots. How far does Maximo go into the whole Cummins?
So right now we are primarily at our test and manufacturing facilities. We have like 72,000 distributor locations, and those are both wholly owned or independently owned, and we're doing a big buyback actually. I don't know how much you follow it, but it's kind of an interesting time at Cummins, and so we're just now starting to look at the opportunity to use Maximo in the distribution business unit. In fact, I was trying to get as much as I can from Mark how they're doing it in the utilities with their geospatial stuff, right? So I think there's huge opportunities for Maximo in DBU. Frankly, we were fighting so many fires before that we weren't in position to even have that conversation. Now we're in better position, and Cummins is making those moves, which opens some doors. Yeah.
What size is your IT and business side team that's supporting the backlog of issues and changes?
Yeah, so we use the 70-70-70, thanks Jack, Jack Welch's model, right? So 30% of our team are Cummins employees in theory. I'm going to give you the real numbers in a second. 70% of those are, 70% of our team would be outsourced contract labor, implementation partners, support partners, whatever. 70% of those would be off-site. We used to say offshore, but since we're in all of these locations now, it sounds really weird to say that. So, in a different region. So we, during this implementation, with support, with everything, we had around 52, right? Then we, now of that team, about 6 were Cummins people, to give you an idea. Now we do use some central services, so I'm not necessarily, might have to watch my math there. Today, the team is sub 20, hold on, I better think for a second, really sub 20, is sitting at about 14, 4 of which are Cummins employees. Now on the business side, they also have a complementary, so I just gave you the IT, and they have about 5 people. So running this global central excellence division. Yeah. We call it functional excellence.
So you have, on the business side, you only have 4 people or more?
Yeah, so they have, and we're working on this, they obviously have the experts, the leaders, that the sizes of both maintenance or inventory teams would be very different in different plants based on their size, what they're doing, and their regions. Like China, has a specified number. You shall have this many maintenance professionals, where maybe in the US we're running really lean teams. And so we have kind of a waterfall train-to-trainer type of approach that we do for functional excellence. So those central people are, while they are central in that they are corporate rolling out that functional excellence, they're actually distributed globally in different regions, right? And they use their channels through either, we are a collection of complementary business units all around the engine manufacturing, turbo technologies, power generation, et cetera, right? So we use the channels within those business units or within regional leadership. I'm trying to draw a matrix with my hands here, right? To then roll those out through those functional leaders.
So we have lots of site admins, and we have kind of a steering committee of users. So for example, we can have like one functional expert for work management, but then there will be multiple site level experts that person can directly go to. You don't have to, everybody doesn't go, all those questions doesn't come to the one person. That answers your question. And we are actually having every quarter or 2 months or 1 month, we try to have the user group meetings with all our users from across the globe that really helping us to get the feedback.
So the way, maybe this just helps quickly or is of interest, we won't spend much time on it, but we divide the work up across those groups, right? And we're pretty specific about the division of roles and responsibility, right? So we have a program lead, a deployment leader, a solution designer, a development lead, a test and support lead, and then that functional excellence group. And then we're very specific about what the roles and responsibilities are. There's like a 200-line RACI that's the sub-level tasks, and so like Renu would have this horizontal responsibility set and would have a whole lot of rows in that RACI for what her people or consultants or functional or whatever, but all the stakeholders' roles are in each of those processes, right? So that's how we have to really be kind of nimble because of the way that we run that model, the 77. It's really important that everybody knows what they're doing, how they're doing it, and that we're managing, kind of outcomes-based management, performance indicators for each area, things like that. Good questions. Others?
I just want to say that it's very impressive how you took the Six Sigma and applied it to the maximum implementation, roll out from a technical perspective as well as functional. Did you build in these processes and approaches before you started bringing team members, or you did it kind of as you?
Yeah, we had to do it kind of as we were going. Yeah, good question. We had a system, we had a group, we had an operation in place, and so we had to quickly increase our throughput, right? We've done an upgrade before. This isn't our first rodeo, but the last one took us like 18 plus to 2 years. We didn't do any development during that time. We created a huge backlog of work, right? So we were using a lot of these inputs to say, how are we gonna not repeat our previous mistakes? Yeah. So we had to kind of do it on the fly for sure.
And we did the proof of concept before we did the actual migration, so we created a lab environment, and we did all those tests and make sure all those technology stack that we looked at, that all those things work with each other well or not. Really. So it's like the agile, the Scrum thing really paid off for us. We don't want to do over planning, and by the end of 3 months we see, oh, it's not working. So make small pieces, make sure it's working together, and then apply, keep applying.
Right. And we had, like Renu said, we really drew a line in the sand, if you will, and I just refused to yield that line, essentially, right? Everything was, what are we going to do to get there? What's in, what's out? And really, really a great team. But we do have a lot of governance processes, like we say ITPM, the Information Technology Project Management approach, but it's not like real project management, it's more like a governance approach to ensure the business gets the value that they were promised from IT. So, you know, we have a lot of built-in company processes. The one other thing I would add is a lot of people ask about why the technology stack, why did you choose this stack, why, you know, how did you land on a lot of these things? You know, as a company, I said we have like 75,000 applications, and our stack is like insane, and you know, we spend like a lot of money on IT, like it's on par with our R&D. That's not really popular, right? So we're looking for ways to decrease the cost in those areas, and so we're trying to standardize on technology stacks is what I'm getting to across the company as a whole. So, you know, again, kind of like Rational, we were saying why not this technology first and then going from there.
Did you have to build a independent, dedicated servers, application servers for performance, I'm assuming, versus sharing with other applications?
We did, especially at our scale, it makes sense, right? In fact, we have our own. I wouldn't. It's not truly highly available, but we continue to make steps in that path. But you know, this is like 22 dedicated servers running this global operation. Yeah, and that's just production instance, by the way. We also have that in stage, and then we have a dev environment. So, yeah.
It helps to have dedicated.
Yeah, for sure.
Just one last, so you have a server in Chicago and maybe in Jamshedpur, India, or wherever you have a Cummins assembly plant, right? So is there latency? How do you deal with this?
Yeah, there is some latency, right? I'll let you go. I'll go first for a quick one, and then let you go. Yeah. So yeah, but there are some latency issues, but we had so much performance in gains just because of the differences in Maximo versions as we jumped from 7.1 to 7.5, and really the latency that isn't impacting. And we are not seeing it like in Beijing, China. Right? It's all about their local bandwidth. We have a lot of issues with bandwidth, so don't let me like say, oh, this is perfect. But you can almost go as fast from Columbus, Indiana to Chicago as from a performance, and I'm talking about Rational scripts that are showing us what the turnaround times are, right? Not stopwatches or anything or opinions, but we can go almost as fast from Columbus as we can from Beijing. Now we do have, because we're a manufacturing company, we tend not to build in like cities. Like you'll go to Paris, but it won't be, or you'll go to France, it won't be Paris, kind of thing. Right? Very rural locations, Pithampur, where they're trying to use like satellite radio. So we get into some real network issues for sure on the infrastructure layer, but usually we have to attack that at that layer. The latency, we have more problems with what's going on with their choices of networks or what area of the world we're operating in than we do like, oh, that's giving me, 200 milliseconds of latency because of the distance. So I'm not saying that we won't ever get to a part where we really want to talk about that and get it even better, but the low-hanging fruit is more local focus, yeah.
Right. So he actually covered most of it, but if you let me give you an idea how differences. For example, you in the work order list tab, you open the same list tab in Columbus, takes 2 seconds, which is pretty good for us right now. We started our journey from 8 seconds, but so now it's under 2 seconds. In China, Beijing, if it's like good network, 2.5 or 3 seconds. Just to give you a comparison. So, but if you go to a place or a plant which is like very interior, depending upon network, it could vary.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
So what were some of the biggest problems or hurdles that you had to overcome for the performance? What were some of the things that you found were causing the performance?
That were causing the performance, gosh,
The performance tuning.
there was a lot, there was a lot in the stack. I think we were using mismatched technologies. So because of the way that we operate and because we're a large company, it's like, hey, we're upgrading WebSphere, but we didn't upgrade this stuff over here, and we weren't always on dedicated. We were on Solaris T4 machines. I don't know if you know these boxes. These are very powerful boxes that you shouldn't be able to get this type of performance improvement. So I think we know that there were some configuration issues. We had definitely mismatched technology issues. We had our own just resource constraints from the way that they had been configured. They didn't scale well to the payloads that we had. So, and Maximo, I'm sorry, one more thing, 7.1. 7.5 is just a lot faster than 7.1,
Yeah.
right? So.
And we, which version are you on maximum?
We're on 7.6.
7.6. So, what happened in turn one when our users were really, really, kind of pissed off by us, the performance, we ran a small project of the performance tuning. And the first thing that we looked at was the database itself, right? So we actually prepared a big plan, starting from the technology and everything, and the database tuning was one of big part of it. So we scheduled the AWR reports from the DBA, and we looked at top 10 queries, looked at those major indexes and the top 10 running queries. We tried to include them. User queries from the Star Center, if they keep, saying, oh, my Star Center takes forever to load. Go to the query table, okay? See your queries that users have created. So we actually took them and did the tuning in the code itself. We see the execution plan, tune them for the first time right now. So that was a big part of it. Indexes, they have the table spaces that they have, that kind of tuning we did. Reports, how the reports are scheduled, whether they are scheduled everything, your PM, adopt the PM that we are global company, so it's like so many PMs that we have to generate. We looked at your jobs, that's how they are scheduled. So those kind of stuff, if you're looking for the performance tuning. That really helped us, initially. And then when this 7.5, generally, when we did this entire cleaning and entire reorganization.
Do you have any
Now-
issues with Exadata? Did Exadata cause any performance issues for you?
No.
No, actually, EXA really helped us.
Very, very, very fast.
I mean, we've had a couple EXA, but I can't blame it on EXA. We've had a couple things like, oops, we didn't have the nodes configured correctly, that's not really highly available, oops. Some configuration issues like that along the way, but nothing it's so much better than what we had before. I think we've had, because of EXA, since we did this, we have had, I think, 4 hours of downtime unscheduled, right? And it was a pretty big oops by a left-hand, right-hand thing, somebody that was outside of our team, helping us on the box, so. Great questions. Probably out of time.
I think we're about
So,
right there.
Yeah, always happy. We're always looking to partner, and share ideas, right? We're all kind of doing the same type of work. So, we kind of have an open door policy. I know we're all busy, but if you're ever interested in collaborating or putting heads together, we're always open to that. So, and awesome to see a whole bunch of yellow tags in here. All right, really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.